All right. We're live. Just give it a second for people to get in. So we're live on Losi's Facebook as well as the Rise and Hobby YouTube channel as well.
Oh, all right. Ready, Cairo? All right. We're going live. Talk
All
about
right.
monster trucks.
So my name is Greg Sopa. I'm here with the Losi team. And then with us today, we have Bari Musawwir and Cairo Musawwir. Thought we'd talk about some RC monster trucks, regular monster trucks, RC cars in general. Take some questions and things like that. So maybe to get us started, Bari, do you want to talk a little bit about your background in RC and how that kind of evolved into your full-time job?
Sure, man. It goes back some years. When I was probably about 11, I think I got my first hobby grade RC for Christmas. And
What
from
was
there,
your first RC?
I got my first one was a Tamiya Blackfoot.
Nice.
And then I think when the RC10T came out, I got one of those too. But the Blackfoot was like the first one ever for me, and it's just expanded from that point on. It was like I got captured,
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, they tend to grow on their own without you knowing it.
yeah, it's like, where did all this stuff accumulate? Like, how did I get all of this? But here we are, years and years and years later. But there's a whole story in between those years, So I just backyard bashed for a long time, with that Blackfoot and with the RC10T. And then I saw an ad in RC Car Action for the NRC DPA World Championships. And I decided, man, let me ask my parents if we can go out there. And we went out there for the first time. We just watched. And I had a big VHS camcorder, like 12-year-old with a VHS camcorder on his shoulder walking around with, that. And that's like a picture that, I'll never forget. I've seen videos of that, and it's just funny now to look at that. But
where was that at, that first one that you went to?
Montpelier, Ohio.
Here's what I found.
Okay.
Yeah, Montpelier, Ohio, and they still have events out there. They've been going for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just a unique hotel because it had an atrium, 2 atriums that were in the middle of these rooms. So literally, you didn't have to leave the venue to race. It was just right there in the atrium. Wow. And you could see the track from your room because the atrium had like a room view where you could see out of your room window. It was pretty cool the way it's set up. And still to this day, it's there, and they have events there. So it was inside on carpet, and all these solid axle monster trucks would show up, RC 1/10 scale. And I just dreamed, I wanted a Clodbuster forever, that was like the one that everybody wanted. And there was modified ones and all kinds of aftermarket kits for them. And so I was like, man, one day, I'm going to get one of those and modify it and really be able to compete with these guys. So I met a guy named Tim Powers at one of these races, and I really liked the way his truck's handled. So hooked up with him, and I got my first Cloudbuster a few years later, and they built it for me and started racing, and it was pretty fun. The fact that here we are racing these replica RC monster trucks, with friends all over the country that come to this one race.
Mm-hmm.
And be able to, just replicate a race.
Yeah.
We could see that you're moving on the camera. So then it just one thing led to another. You can't have just one. So you end up getting another one and another one. By the time, you turn around, you're into 4 and 5 classes of these trucks, So it just, from there, it was like I was hooked. There was no turning back. And I used to tell Tim whenever before I actually got the Clodbuster, I was saying, man, I'm going to have one of those trucks. And I was probably like an 11-year-old kid. And, Tim just laughed, he's, yeah, okay. And we're friends to this day. And he's just like, sometimes we talk on the phone. It's like, man, I cannot believe that, this kid turned into a professional monster truck racer, but, from being noticed racing radio controlled trucks. It's a pretty cool story. And, but yeah, I mean, that's the short end of it. Fast forward a few years after that, Fred Reap, I met Fred Reap when I moved to Florida. And I met him through Scott Hartsock, who owns the Gunslinger team, monster truck. And Scott just came to me one day and he said, hey, you want to meet a guy named Fred Reap? He's wanting to do some RC monster truck racing. I said, well, yeah, that's cool to meet somebody that, has the same passion as I do for these things. So Fred wanted to actually start racing them. And we actually started, he had a company called RC Monster Motorsports. And we started racing them. We put the ramps together. It was kind of like a scale race, though. We wanted to try and emulate the real deal. So we made, little ramps which led up to crush cars and, Lexan crush cars. And we started racing these things.
Now, was that on carpet or dirt?
It was on wherever we could find. It was on asphalt, dirt, carpet. It was mostly outdoors, though, in Florida. By then I had moved to Florida, obviously, because Scott's out of Florida, too. And Fred just had this vision. After a couple of years, he said, man, I want to have a race at Digger's Dungeon, which is, the home of Gravedigger, Dennis Anderson, the whole Anderson crew. It's up there. And I'm like, yeah, man, I'm in. Let's do it. So, Fred was the brainchild behind that. And I was just kind of like the supporting member of the team to be able to go up there and do that. And that was the first race we ever did up there was 2006. And Bill Easterly was actually on site, who is a executive for Monster Jam. And he took notice to me. I ended up doing pretty good up there. I did some announcing. I did good on the track. And so he kind of took notice to me and he said, man, if you can drive an RC truck that good, you probably do the real deal. So that's kind of when, the door opened. And this picture right here is from 2010. That's actually, that's 2010 when we did a demo inside the Georgia Dome in Atlanta. And by that time we had branched off from Fred and made our own racing organization called No Limit RC. And so you see our No Limit RC shirts there. And we just had a big crew of guys with replica RC monster trucks. And we did a demo for the fans there at the pit party, and they loved it. I mean, there's just a fraction of the fans behind us in the photo that you can see. And so, I mean, we just had a blast doing that. And there was at Digger's Dungeon, actually, that picture there with my Losi LST, Grave monster truck, because Dennis Anderson had a bounty up. He said, if anybody wins freestyle here and has a Gravedigger body on their truck, I'm going to give you $500 cash. Well, there's the proof right there, the trophy in hand, the LST, and the $500. And, man, that was kind of what put me on the map as far as getting noticed.
Now let's talk about that trophy for a second. How tall were those trophies, man?
They're like 5'6" tall, man. They're gigantic trophies. They're flimsy, that real long stand. That's probably like 3 feet right there at the bottom. And still have that trophy to this day. So, it's really cool to still be able to capture those memories. Zeke was the founder of the Orange County Wolfpack. So that was like his son Justin is to the left. We did real good here. That picture there, that's Justin Hurd. That's Zeke's son on the left. And then that was actually in Zeke's backyard. He has a clay track in his backyard at the time. Now he has a pulling track. That picture there is on the driver's stand at the World Finals at Digger's Dungeon, with Tom Dixon. You can see him with the glasses on, standing on the ground. And we're actually, myself and his son Chris Dixon are. I'm standing up there on the driver's stand with them, and it's crazy to see that picture because Chris Dixon is taller than me now, and yeah, it's just wild, man, to go back in time and see things like that. I like to say I don't really look too much different though, so I'm proud of that.
Yeah. Well, here's one I thought that one was a pretty good one.
Yeah, see, that's Ryan there on the left, and myself on the right. And yeah, you said I was just driving with one hand. So
that's all I needed.
Yeah, that's all I needed, one hand.
You got the concentration though.
Yeah, it was great to just stand there with Dennis. I mean, and now his son Ryan, has just left a legacy with the Anderson name. And Dennis, it was so funny to watch Dennis with the radio in his hand, and he's, it was great that he actually got out there with us and participated, and still into it to this day. So just to be able to use the RC hobby to bring people together from all walks of life it's just awesome,
Yeah. So now when Bill Easterly saw you driving RCs, I mean, how did that kind of transform into, you getting a tryout with the full scale monster trucks?
Man, it was like unbelievable that it happened so fast right then and there. So what happened was they said this in front of the whole crowd, in front of everybody. They said, man, we'd like to give you a shot to drive one of these trucks. Are you free next week to come right back up here and drive in a test session? So they literally already had this test session scheduled. And this was in June of 2006. And he said, man, if you can drive an RC truck that good, you could probably do the real deal. So he was kind of scouting, always looking for talent. And he knew that, the dexterity you have with your hands to be able to control a radio, and have the hand-eye coordination with your hands to be able to, control the throttle and the steering at the same time. He knew that could probably translate into the real deal. So they literally flew me back up to the test session a week later. I came back home to Florida. After, that's a picture I took in my first test session there. That's Henry Cross on the left, Paul Cohen on the right, and the Jolly sisters there in the middle, Courtney and Candace, and then myself on the right. That was in June of 2006. And that's funny because I came back home and I was working at a vinyl company at the sign shop. And I basically I didn't even ask them. I told them, I said, guys, I'm going back up there next week. Sorry, I'm leaving again. They said, okay. But that was crazy. If you see how far the technology of these trucks, the full-size trucks have come, that was a Patrick chassis, which was like a lot of Monster Jam. They own Patrick chassis. But if you look closely, that's a Baird seat in there. So it's a lot different from the seats that we use now, the ISP seats and the Butler seats, because there's no containment in that seat. Literally, you had a helmet and a neck brace, neck collar, and your 5-point safety harnesses, and that was it. And man, we drove those trucks for 3 days, probably 2.5 days, because at first they give you like a crash course on just how to start the thing, because I had no motorsports experience.
Yeah.
Normally what it takes to get involved with something like Monster Jam. So literally about the second day, you see everybody that you're training with turning their neck real slow like this because it's sore. And I really had to reevaluate when I got home. I couldn't run. I couldn't touch my chin to my sternum for probably a couple weeks. And that's how sore I was. And I thought to myself, how are these guys doing this and driving crazy like they do?
Yeah.
I thought to myself, man, I don't really know if this is for me or not. It was great to be able to drive the truck at that time and live out a childhood dream to actually be behind the wheel. But I was literally that sore to the point where I was like, man, I don't know. Maybe I'll just be good with being a fan, you know. But I eventually the soreness went away, and that was in '06, and then I didn't hear anything. Candace Jolly got the call back to become a full-time driver, so she started January of '07. So I still, hung around the sport and still was a fan. I still went to shows with Scott Hartsock. He took me under his wing, and he just kind of taught me the ropes of the business side. So I wouldn't look at it from just like a fan side, but actually, people made a living doing this. So I was like, all right, cool. Just gained a lot of knowledge from him, and we're friends to this day. And I owe a lot to him and Fred, for as far as I've been able to come with this. So 2 years passed. I get another call just out of the blue, and we're still doing the RC monster truck races at the dungeon. So I still was, in the loop.
Yeah.
And I got another call, and they said, "You want to come try this again?" In 2008, I said, "Yeah, let's do it." So I went and do another test session. Did really well, but I knew at that point that they had a Butler seat in one of the test trucks. And I had followed by then. I said, all right, I know that's going to be my truck that I'm going to drive. I'm not driving the truck with the Butler seat or with the Baird seat, excuse me, because I know what the outcome of that is going to be. So I ended up driving the truck. It was actually Blue Thunder, Lindsay Wink's Blue Thunder.
Okay.
It didn't have the body on it, but it had the Butler seat. It had it didn't have the full containment. It just had the containment for your hips and your didn't even have the shoulder. So it was just a hard bottom seat, which made all the difference in the world, because if you're thinking of a suspension seat, you actually land twice, because you land when the truck lands, and then you can press again into the suspension seat, so you're able to move.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what really causes all the soreness when you get jostled around. But when you are stable in the seat where you're not moving around, that's when you really are able to take the abuse that these trucks hand out. So from then on, I said, okay, and I think Adam Anderson was one of the first people to actually use one of those seats in competition. And now it changed the game, just to be able to drive the trucks and feel comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
As comfortable as you can be flying 30 feet through the air, landing for 2 minutes straight.
Like the all-star was it the triple that you cleared, or just about cleared?
Yeah, that was a wild ride, man. But I couldn't imagine doing something like that, or even a backflip, or even anything that we do nowadays, driving a truck with one of those old Baird seats in it. It was like unbelievable, the difference that how you feel when you just get out of the truck.
Yeah. So now when did you start driving full time for Monster Jam?
So I finally got the call back in 2010 out of the blue. I hadn't driven a truck in 2 years since my test session in '08. And got a call out of the blue, said, hey, you want to drive a truck in Panama? The show's in Panama. I was like, yeah. So I didn't have a passport. I hurried up and got my passport. And that first show ever was in Panama City, Panama. I drove a truck called Backwards Bob. It was the first time I'd ever been out of the country. And they delayed my luggage. So it was like, first time out of the country, luggage delayed, first time driving at a show. I was so nervous, I couldn't even eat before the show. There's a bunch of veterans there. Rod Schmidt was there, Lupe Sosa, and I think Medusa was there. And it was just like, they were all calm, cool, and collected. It was another day in the park for them. For me, I was just a nervous wreck. It was a 2-day show, and I think it was like initiation. They thought it'd be funny because my truck was supposedly a surprise, even though it had leaked out to the local media. But they built this hut. During the pit party, they built this hut for the truck and was sitting there inside of it. Well, it was really hot. And it was steamy hot. So they said, well, you're going to be the surprise, and during intros, after everybody's introduced, you're going to blast out of this hut. So I had to go down there in full gear probably like 15 minutes before intros even started, and go sit in that truck. And it was like I baked in that thing. And I was like, okay, this is my welcome to Monster Jam moment right here.
Oh man,
rookie, you know. So it went good, you know. I got myself handed to me, but that's to be expected when you're first starting out. But they, you know, the fact that I got my foot in the door, they saw potential in me to be able to do this and do it well as a fan and coming from my background. And because I was told later, they said, man, we really didn't think you're going to do much of anything at your test session because you came from RC. We just think of RC as toys, you know, and
yeah,
so they were pleasantly surprised. I think it took 4 years to get hired on professionally because they didn't think I was going to do as well as I did. So you know, here we are. Gosh, 10 years later. 10 years. It's crazy to think. You know, hired on in 2010, and here it is 2020.
yeah.
Just I remember it like it was yesterday.
Well, and not only are you doing Monster Jam full time, but you're also doing RC pretty much full time as well.
Every day. We drive these trucks every day. So we got batteries charged right now.
Nice. There you go. We got a couple of questions. We'll mix in some questions, and then we can kind of get into some of the fit scale stuff as well. But you might know this guy.
Oh, Clyde. Yeah, Clyde's like my right-hand man down here. What did he say? If he could race only one truck at a race, which one of his trucks would it be and why? Oh, that's a tough question, man. Because you put your heart and soul and time, and energy, and a lot of money into every truck you build.
Yeah.
So this fifth scale truck, man, when I first built it, it was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe how fun this thing is. You know, it's just the sheer size and power of it. I mean, it runs on 8S, and it's a 40-pound truck, and to be able for it to move like it does, it's just insane. So I would say this fifth scale brushless truck is one of my favorites right now.
So why don't you give us a little bit of a breakdown on it, because it's Losi based.
Sure.
So, you know, walk us through how you kind of designed it, and then, you know, how you took parts that were open and start from there.
I've got my phone here if you guys can see. This thing was designed on my computer program. Actually a sign program, Corel Draw, which I still use. I got my associate's degree in CAD, but if you don't use computer programs, you tend to lose it. But I use Corel every day at work. So Corel is a vector-based program. So I designed this chassis from scratch. It was a 4-link design I wanted to use, sway bars, and I wanted to try and make it look scale appearing. So with the 8 shocks and the sway bars, which are custom made by Ernest Liptrap out of Virginia. But
now, are the 8 shocks all functional, or is just one of them kind of the active shock?
The one with the spring is the one that's functional here. It's got the oil in it. It's got the O-rings in it. The one here in the front with no spring, it's just kind of along for the ride. It's just more for scale appearance than anything else. There's no O-ring. It's just basically there for the looks. You could take 4 of them off and the truck would behave the same. It would just be a little bit lighter. Okay. But the axles are the thing that captures everybody. And they were a collaboration with myself and Hess Engineering. Hess is out of Minnesota. Here's an axle that is for another build. But it's basically a billet machined axle that uses the internals from the Losi Desert Buggy XL. So it's got that differential inside of there and all the bearings and all the axles. And of course, it was all inspired, honestly, to build this was when Losi came out with the MTXL, the Monster Claw tire. And I said, finally, you know, I can build something off of that, but I want it to be solid axle so that it's kind of, you know, resembles a real truck. So I worked with Hess. Man, we developed this thing. It probably took a good 6 months to, I would say, a year. Oh, there's the battery done. So yeah, I love these things, man. They got a real scale appearance to them with the 4-link front, top and bottom. I don't know if you can see the bottom one. Yep, right there.
Oh, okay.
And then the limit straps. You know, we got a mount for the limit straps here. And then I wanted to try and use a standard size servo. So I was trying to find the strongest servo I could because I'm always battling that scale versus function. Servos turn these tires like it's nothing, but these tires are so much leverage. Sometimes you can toast the gears in these servos. So I'm working on trying to squeeze a bigger servo in there that just has bigger gears that will last longer. That's the only thing that I'm working on to work out with this truck. As far as everything else, this thing is a blast. The prototype one, this is actually a buddy of mine, Taz's truck. The prototype truck, though, uses the same 4-link bars that you find on the Super Rock Ray. So the upper 4-link bar is the same thing here. These have been machined by Ernest Lip Trap out of Virginia, same as the sway bars. But they use the E5T ball end. And then they use a Losi center diff section. I don't know if you can see in there real well, but I've got a Vertigo spool in there. It's a 61 tooth spur gear.
Okay.
And a 14 tooth pinion gear. If you can kind of see in there. This has got the Dynamite 800 kV motor. That one's since been discontinued. The new one is the 750 kV. You can see that one up there. And all the parts to build a whole nother one. So we got some work to cut out for us.
Now, is your intent always to do electric on this build?
Yeah, always electric. I had my stint in nitro. My buddy Zeke got me into nitro because I was electric when I started RC. And then I got into nitro. It's fun, but I'm more of a clean guy, like, clean power. There's always got a place for it. But yeah, I love the fact that lipos and brushless, you can develop so much power. There's the 2 battery trays here that we bought from the electric Desert Buggy XL. You put 2 batteries. Yeah, we put 2 batteries in it, as Cairo says. So yeah, I mean, we've basically got a twin vertical plate, if you want to call it, chassis with cross members in it, and cross members are 4 inches wide, and all together, I mean, this thing with the body on it, the batteries, it's 40 pounds, and it moves like it's not 40 pounds. It's kind of scary.
Yeah. Yeah, it drives nice. I saw it last year. You had it at Horizon RC Fest. I got to do a couple of laps in it, and I didn't want to push it too hard, but it was a lot of fun to drive. Now, next to it, you're prepping your build there. Are those all the Losi parts that you use on it?
Yeah, mixed in with Chick-fil-A that my son just got. Right out of the way. But yeah, this is a lot of the Losi parts that it takes to build this. We've got the ball ends for, yeah, it is echoing. We got the ball ends for a 5T that we use on it. We got all the bearings, got all the different. Radio, Spectrum, DX5C. And we've got the Fuse brushless 750 kV, the Fuse 160 amp ESC. And what's nice about this ESC is it's got the built-in BEC, so you can control the voltage going through your servos.
Okay.
And right now we're using the Spectrum 6280, but I'm working on maybe using a bigger servo, but I still want to fit it in that same area. So that's going to be a challenge.
but we'll try it. And here's the chassis plate.
Nice.
So those are ready to go. We've got the batteries for it.
Benjamin Raleigh said that, or no, Jimmy Lewis Jr. is saying that you're building that to give to him, right?
Give is a strong word, Jimmy. But no, this one is actually for Aaron Basil. Aaron is a long-time monster truck guy in the industry, and he saw this. We were on tour together a couple years ago, and I brought this axle on tour, and I think he about fell over when he saw this. It's just a beautiful piece of machine aluminum. I mean, fit and finished to fit, a fifth scale differential, which is, here's the diff cups. And, you got to put this all together. Here's the spur gear, the ring and pinion gear. Just spool, all the axles.
So here's a question on that. So after looking at all this, Albert Rincon asked, what's the total cost when you do a build like that?
Turnkey done. If you had to buy all these parts retail and put it all together, this truck is like probably around $4,300 to $4,500.
Okay.
Turnkey, ready to go, radio, everything assembled. And this one here will be number 12. I built 11 of them.
So have you built all of them yourself, or have you done kind of like kits?
There's only been 3 that I haven't built myself.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. I'm gonna go ahead and turn your phone off and bring your other screen back up.
Okay.
All right.
Cool. So yeah, that's kind of a tour around the whole truck. We're in the cramped space here. We sold our house, so we're in an apartment temporarily until our new house is built. But just got word today that they started moving dirt over there, so that's good nice. News. Good news for Monday.
RC cars don't have to be in the living room anymore, huh?
No. But we're making it do. We have a lot of fun out here, right? We got 2 big fields that we race through. Yeah, we have 2 fields that are right within walking distance, literally. And we put on a show for the people here in the apartment complex. Nice. So we have fun with it.
Here's a good question. We've been getting this one a lot. So I mean, right here, we'll make it full screen. There, you see the Losi solid axle monster truck right there. It's already been made.
Here's one. It's right here.
Let's see what other questions we have. Oh, here you go. Mike is asking, so do you build these for people? Do they contact you and then you kind of build it out?
Yeah, just send me a message on Facebook or Instagram. And Mike Hess is the one that machines these axles. And he makes them about twice a year. And as soon as he does a pre-sale for them, and when he puts that out, people just buy them up, So the best thing to do if you want one is to get the axles from Mike Hess first. And he's on Facebook too, Hess Engineering. And, once you have those, then we can put it all together, So these are $325 a piece empty, which I feel like that's a great deal for the amount.
There's a lot of metal in there.
Yeah. The amount of work and the fit and finish of these pieces, it's amazing,
Mm-hmm.
Get a machine to turn out. This isn't polished. This is the way you get it, And
Nice.
if you polish this, you probably would blind people. That's the key. Is once you got this, we can build it all pretty quick for you.
Okay.
I do build to order for people. Because it does.
About how long does it take?
If I have all the parts, I could probably get one done within a week. That's just working on a little bit each day. But you have to wait on all the parts to show up, and to be able to get that, all these parts are available. The Losi parts, especially available at Horizon Hobby, servos, the radio. A lot of the biggest order comes from Horizon for all the Losi parts, Spectrum, Dynamite, the motor. So yeah, I mean, there's just there's a lot of the hardware comes from McMaster-Carr. So to be able to just put all those orders together and rely on the postal service and UPS and FedEx to get it all to you, you know.
Yeah, you usually do a lot of unboxing videos when the mailman comes. You sometimes give quite a few boxes. Good thing Cairo's there with his sword to help you out.
He is always there. I wait for him to get home. Well, I should say from school, but lately we've been doing school from home these days.
So you talked a little bit about working for a wrap shop. So you used to do the full-scale automotive wraps. And then when did you start doing RC wraps on RC car bodies?
It was actually, that is what I used to get the job at my first vinyl shop.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so I went in for an interview. This is when I lived in Tampa. So I moved from Ohio. I'm originally from Cleveland, Ohio. I moved to Tampa when I was 19 to finish my degree. So I got my degree in graphic design, a bachelor's degree. And I wanted a job in my field, but I didn't just want to see stuff on a computer. I wanted to see it somehow come to life. So that's why I chose graphic design. And then the sign shop was just like a perfect fit because I could see, this creation on the computer, and then we could output it either through like a vinyl plotter or a router table or printer. So I used to print. I used to make my designs to fit these RC bodies and print them out on just regular paper. And then like photo paper, I would get them printed at like FedEx Kinko's. And then I would there's called banner tape. I would line the whole page with banner tape and cut it out so it was double-sided and it became a sticker. And stick it on the side of the RC body. And I went through the whole interview process at this sign shop in Tampa. And I left. And I had this body. It was like a gravedigger body. And came back in. Hey, it's right on cue. That's pretty good. Came back in and I showed it to them. And I got the job. And later, they said, the only thing that got you that job was when you brought that RC body back in here and you showed us. Because that meant you knew you got it. We knew at that point you got what it took to make signs. So it was like I was doing it before I even printed it on vinyl, So now, gosh, that whole.
So was this a wrap or was that the one that came with the Parma?
No, that's a wrap.
Okay.
On the front are paint. I hand drew the flames and cut it out, painstakingly with an X-Acto knife. And then the side is actually vinyl. And that was back when I was doing them in reverse. So that's actually on the inside of the body on clear. Wow. And then you back the clear with white to get the white areas like the moon and the gravedigger letters. But yeah, that was back when you turned it on the inside of the body. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very cool. So you're still doing a lot of wraps now, and every once in a while I see the ones that you've got. So you want to show us a couple of the wraps you've done?
Yeah. Let's see. So we do all these because we have RC Monster Jam World Finals as a part of the actual World Finals, which man, it would have been next weekend. So we're getting all this stuff ready. I'll show you one of the replicas here. Let's see. Which should we show? I'll show. You know what? We'll show him this one. This one. Yeah. So this is fitting, right?
Nice.
So, basically, I used to I would take pictures of the real truck and try and scale it down and fit on a Lexan, a real, Lexan body. And that's how I would develop my wraps. And thankfully now a lot of teams, they send me like actual file for their actual truck.
Oh, nice.
That saves a ton
Have to
of
try to replicate it.
Yeah. So this one here is actually still like a picture of the truck. You probably can't see, but those are like bolts that were holding the hood on. You probably can't see it. You'd have to zoom way in. But there's bolt holes in. Watch out, buddy. There. You can kind of see the screws. So that's a picture of the real truck. And that's how that worked out. And then the arms are 3D printed. I get them from my buddy Mike Eaton, who actually helps us out with the RC World Finals.
I think he's watching. I've seen him make a couple comments on here.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah,
I can't get into the comments. So, and then the hair is actually like a burlap bag that we modified and we put them on with Velcro. The shirt is actually a real shirt. Yeah, we cut it all up. Cairo loves that. So yeah, I mean, we try to do as much of these as we can to replicate the real trucks to make it look just as scale as we possibly can.
Yeah, you've helped me learn how to do a little bit of wrapping too. Give me some tips. The mid 400 one I have there, that's actually a vinyl wrap on a Ford Raptor Baja Ray. That until you taught me how to use a heat gun to really get it stretched to get it right, there was a whole lot of frustration.
Yeah, it will save you because you can honestly, this material is so good. The 3M wrap material is all I use. You can literally ball it up, heat it up, ball it up, and then unball it, and then it's got all these wrinkles in it. And then use a heat gun, and you never know.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, it's
so.
It's
Janelle Everett is asking, do you have a fire version of that?
Ah, why, yes, I do. Well, it's not for this truck, but yep, there we go.
Oh, nice.
Fire zombie.
Even has the firearms on it.
Yeah. So Mike paints all those, and we get them, and man, he does a good job on them. And that was a black shirt. It's all tattered, and then that's.
What is it? Small?
Yeah. Yep. So that's the fire zombie, and literally no paint on there. That's all vinyl. So it's a lot of fun to replicate them. And,
now you'll wrap some helmets too. Is your race helmet wrapped?
It is. I've done a lot of helmet wraps. Right now, all my stuff, my race stuff's in storage because we went from a decent sized house to a pretty not so decent sized apartment. So a lot of the stuff here is just like bare necessities, So a lot of my stuff's in storage, and but yeah, I would grab a helmet if I had one here to show you.
Okay.
I just did 2 helmets for my buddy Fred. Fred works for J Concepts now, and which is literally 30 minutes from my house. So I just did a couple helmets for him to put in his little memorabilia room.
Nice.
So yeah, that's been my art for the last since I moved to Florida. I was 19 years old, and just been able to do signs and wraps and full size and RC.
Very cool. So here's another question: is do you put LED lights on any of them to do like night, add a scale detail?
I have. I actually just did a Gravedigger body that had red LED lights on it. And of course, you can see the Super Rock Ray behind us. That comes fully equipped with light bars, and you will never lose that thing. The lights are
they're a little bright.
Yeah. 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 Yeah, the lights are a lot of fun. You know, that's just one more element to add to the scare realism. You know, putting lights on. My next project I want to do is probably like alien invasion. 'Cause it's got all the lights that that truck is the coolest looking truck at night.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yes.
So going back to your early Monster Jam days, have you ever done a Spider-Man RC?
Yeah, and actually, it's a good thing you guys are. I do. I have a body. A friend of mine, Jamie Grunn, sent me to sign it. So I think I didn't think I mailed it back to him yet. Let me see if I got it. Hello. Let's see. Oh, here it is.
See, I told you.
Yep.
I made a whole
Yeah.
time.
Yeah. Look, check that out.
Nice.
So, and I signed it, and he just wanted me to sign it. And this one was actually painted.
Oh, that's painted. Wow.
All paint.
Very cool.
I can paint, but not on the body. I can paint on the computer.
Nice.
I can do a little bit of painting, but this takes a ton. That's like a whole nother skill set here.
So Mike Eaton, I think you got to vote for Alien Invasion.
Yes.
Yep. Tell Mike if he sends you some more zombie arms, he can do Alien Invasion.
There we go.
All right.
So
So we'll do last call for anybody else that has any questions or anything like that. Anything you want to know about the Losi based fit scale that Bari's got there, Monster Jam trucks, body wraps, things like that. What's your favorite body that you've wrapped?
Favorite one. What do you think it is? Fire zombie. And the regular zombie. Yeah, we can go with that one.
Is that your favorite, Kyra?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, good.
And I want you to do another bulldozer.
Another bulldozer. Okay.
Because I like bulldozer.
You got Brodozer. Did you do Bro Camino yet?
We do have Bro Camino. Yeah.
It's on my truck.
Yeah, it's on fire.
The whole truck.
Bro Camino.
Oh, nice.
That was like
Very
great
cool.
because that body half the when they come out with these new trucks, half the fun is trying to find the body and hopefully it's not discontinued.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a challenge.
That's one of the last El Camino bodies we were able to find. So, yep.
Very cool. So is that all wrap or is that a decal on the hood there?
Yeah, it's just a decal, and then the whole body's just orange, and then the logo on the side.
Okay.
So that was pretty simple.
And on the hood.
Yeah. Not too bad on that one.
Josh Rhodes says he prefers the bigger ice that you wrapped.
Yeah, that one came out good. That one came out really good. I really did.
Hang it on.
I enjoyed the
Audio issues.
What's that?
My headphones got unplugged by a certain 6-year-old that's crawling underneath me.
Oh yeah. Yeah, McKenna just turned 6.
She's with my 12-year-old pug employee that usually sits by my feet while I'm working.
Yeah. Our collection of trucks up here on the table keep growing. You guys can't see it, but they keep appearing. See?
Oh man, we got a whole show going on down there.
So yeah, we're just having a good time on Monday. It's a pretty good Monday, right? Yeah. So hopefully soon I'll be able to start on Aaron's truck actually assembling it. I gotta do that strategically though, because we don't have much space for these things.
Yeah. So here's a question. You still working on that Coming to America body?
That's a good idea. You know, Princess Amunda, Akeem. My favorite movie. Janelle has great questions.
Do you have any videos of your fit scale running?
Yeah, we do. We do. Did I send you some of those?
I don't think so. I think you have some posted on your Instagram, right? And your Facebook?
Yeah, I'll post them. I'll post them on Facebook.
Okay.
Yep.
And what's your Instagram? We can post in the comments, but what is it for people that are watching?
It's just my name at Bari Musawwir. So it's at BARI and then last name. It's the easiest last name you can spell out. MSAWWIR.
Easy enough.
Yeah. Same as yours.
And Mike keeps posting. This is multiple times I've seen this comment come across. So Mike, we already covered this, man. It's right here. It's right next to the bar. There's your
Losi parts on it.
Yep.
Yeah, Losi battery trays. That means it's Losi.
All right. Well, Bari, thanks for taking the time. We appreciate it. Cairo, thanks for bringing the Monster Jam show to the table there and giving us some visuals. It's always good. Good to see both of you guys, and thanks for everyone for tuning in. We really appreciate it. We'll post up Bari's Facebook as well as his Instagram for anybody that's interested. He's got awesome stories. Always has good content. My RC truck behind me is disappearing now. But especially when you're on the road, it's always really entertaining because you go to hobby shops everywhere you go.
Yeah,
and there's
really,
there's multiple times where you've been posting something in the shop, and I'm like, "Hey, how much is that?"
Yeah.
On a couple occasions, you've shipped a couple of things to me that I haven't been able to find locally here. So, but always good to see just what the inside of a lot of those shops look like and the different things they carry. You've definitely found some gems out there on the road.
Oh yeah. Very fortunate to be able to do that. With the career. I'm hoping that we can, start back sooner than later. But who knows? The main thing right now is just everybody stay safe and still have fun with the RC hobby. We're not stopping that by any means. So it's great. These hobby shops like you guys have developed. Support your local hobby shop campaign. Our local hobby shops here, they do curbside pickup. So literally, if you
nice.
Call ahead and you know what you want, and they take your payment over the phone, and you pick it up and be on your merry way.
Well, I one time I even so I was trying to find a body. You and I were talking about doing a certain type of wrap, so I couldn't find the body anywhere around here. I actually ended up getting it from Anchorage House of Hobbies in Alaska.
Yes.
And just contact them through Facebook, sent me a PayPal invite. So Ryan, shout out to you. Thanks for that. Really appreciate it. But I mean, that's another thing for anybody that's watching is if you can't find something, if your local hobby shop doesn't have it, reach out on Facebook. There's a lot of these hobby shops that are doing mail order and curbside pickup and stuff, and a lot of them be happy to ship stuff to you. So never hurts.
Yep.
But, all right. Well, thanks a lot, Bari. We'll look forward to more of your videos, and we'll see. I mean, Cairo he jumped his 24-volt Gravedigger with an RC truck. Let's see what we're gonna jump next week, Cairo. Come on.
What are you gonna do next? A front flip.
Yeah.
Oh. Ooh. That'd be cool.
If you press on the brake, yeah. All right.
There you go. I want to see that one.
We'll probably just have the horizonhobby.com on pulled up already for the parts.
And I have all the trucks on the table.
Yes, he does have the trucks on the table.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, you take care. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, Greg. Thanks, guys.